Are you waiting for me?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Football Queensland edition of the Village Law SEQFC preview show. My name is Darren London, and boy, we've had an interesting few days, haven't we? We've had the Football Queensland AGM and the fallout from that. We've got a few people here that probably won't want to talk about that, but we'll see how we go anyway. I'll say g'day to our guests first. We've got Lliam, who's with us as per usual. G'day, Lliam.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here again.
We've got Tom Ballantine, who is the coach of the Magpies, Crusaders, United. And I probably left out a couple of names there as well, didn't I, Tom?
Probably a few, yeah.
What do you call your team?
Crusaders.
Just Crusaders.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Great to have you with us. We've got
Thank
Gary
you.
French, who's the coach of the MPLW South United team. G'day, Gary.
How are you, Darren? Good to be here.
Yes, fantastic to see your wonderful head again.
Smiling face, smiling face.
Smiling face. That's the one. You would be with the way your team's going at the moment.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah.
And we better separate Lliam from our next guest. There's going to be a love in tonight at some point. I can feel it coming. Brian Hastings, coach of the Pride. G'day, Brian.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, good. Actually, I might get Lliam to take over the show when we start talking.
No. I'm not a good host. I talk a lot of shit, but I'm not a good host.
All right. Now, let's kick things off by talking about the AGM on the weekend. So I've already discussed this on the Football Brisbane show, and we've pretty much discussed things from the Football Brisbane point of view. Given that this is the FQ show, let's talk about it from the FQ point of view. So we had the AGM on the weekend, and Football Queensland have put out this document talking about the changes that are going to occur in the game. We understand that it's been done with Football Australia's approval, that they're looking at this model. We're going to see how this runs in Queensland, and if it's successful, perhaps roll it out in other states. If it's not successful, we change it. But the understanding is that Football Queensland have a mandate from Football Australia to put forward this model. Now, some of the zones believe that they're not being adequately walked through this process, that there hasn't been enough discussion with it. So as a result, the proposals that got put forward got voted down. Amy Chapman, who is, of course, an ex-Matilda and the women's coordinator for Football Queensland and a director, was a casualty of that. We lost Amy, which is a great shame. But the measures that were being put forward have been voted down. So the reform process has been stalled somewhat. Now, as a result of this, we've had a lot of head clashing between Football Brisbane and Football Queensland this week. I had a chat to Robert Cavalucci earlier tonight and just sort of messaged him and just sort of asked him for his take on things. And his basic position is, we've had this document out for about 14 months now. People know where we stand on this issue. We just need to get on with it now and get this process going. As I mentioned, Football Queensland have a different point of view, and they think that they should be walked through the process a little bit more. Just needs to be more communication between the two organisations, and we've seen the fallout from that. But basically, Lliam, I'll get your take. It's just up. We've got the document. We know what's going to happen. We've just got to make it happen, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Football Queensland, if they've been asked by Football Australia to do what they have to do, then they've got no choice. They have to do that. It's just, as I said off air before, that for someone's coming on the outside of all of this, it doesn't really have all the coaching and the knowledge such as yourself, Darren. It just appears that the way that they've gone about it's pretty poor, like a communication, etc. So now that this is it's really unraveled again today, how much of a mess it is, and it's unraveled more how much of a mess it is. You hope to think that Football Queensland and Football Brisbane they try and learn from this and try and do much better than what they're doing.
I actually think it's time for Football Australia to step up again and say, look, this is where we stand on this. We want this to happen or this not to happen. Make it happen, Queensland.
Yeah. I think also too, as Sas Collins said online today, and that is that, you got to think of all the employees at Football Brisbane as well. They've got an uncertain future now. Where do they sit amongst all this? Are they going to be absorbed in Football Queensland, or are they going to be given a nice, a nice package or something? I don't know. It's just the whole thing's got to be fixed. It's got to be done properly. And I think, to be honest, all of us are just getting real sick of it, and we just want an answer, and we just want it to end. So we know, and to do it in the middle of the season, what they've done. I mean, I'm not sure if they were given a timeline at all from Football Australia when this should be done, but to be doing it halfway through the season, when you're in the middle of the competitions that we're in, to not wait until the grand final or almost the end of the season at least, it just messes everything up and just makes people cranky, and shouldn't be done like that.
Tom, Gary, and Brian, I don't want to throw you guys under the bus, but do you have an opinion on this matter?
I don't. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I've just been reading a lot about it today. I think I agree. Maybe this isn't a good time when right in the middle of the season and all this has happened. I think maybe that these decisions could have waited until the season was over. I do agree with that. I'm the little bit that I'm reading about it. I've been reading about it, and I've just heard there's a case for both. And I honestly don't know enough about it to give an opinion. I'm not sitting on the fence. I'm just being honest with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the case with a lot of people. I mean, before I came on air tonight, I questioned myself: do I know enough about this issue to be able to speak? To speak to it, because I wasn't at the AGM, and I'm not a club president or secretary, so I don't get the email correspondence that comes through. Yeah. We did have Scott, who's the president of Springfield United, who shared a little bit with us in the Football Brisbane show. And look, the big issue with Football Brisbane clubs at the moment is insurance. With Football Queensland disbanding Football Brisbane effectively, can they run a competition? Are the players insured to play? And so that's why they've called fixtures off for the moment. Hopefully it can get resolved. Brian and Tom, do you want to throw in your 2 cents worth there, or are we happy to move on?
Happy to move on that one.
Yeah. And I'll assume from Brian's silence that
I just think that I've been in this game for 25 years, and I've been hearing the same story every year. So whether they made the decision mid-season or end of the season doesn't really matter. It's time to make the change and get one governing body. I think it's something I've seen all the other states are doing it better than we are, and we look like a bit of a laughing stock at times. So I think we need to improve on that. So, hey, I'll focus on the coaching. Don't worry about the politics.
Focus on what you can control.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. And look, as I say, I think that a statement from Football Australia, they may have already done this, but I think if they were able to come out with something again, would certainly assist and provide clarity for all of us out here, all of us who are stakeholders in the game. All right, now let's get on with the show. Let's talk NPL. Tom, the Crusaders, are you going to be in the comp next year?
We're going to be in our competition next year.
All right, what's the story there? Now, I understand that you have a license until the end of 2022.
That's correct, as far as I've been told, yes.
So Football Queensland get these reforms in, and implied in those reforms is a Southeast Queensland zone, and you'd be part of the Wide Bay zone or a Central Queensland zone?
Central Queensland, I think it is.
Queensland zone. So in effect, if these reforms go through, you guys would be out of the competition and you'd be in a local competition. Would that be correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Right. But you have a license agreement that you'll be in this competition at least until the end of next year.
Yep, that's correct.
All right, and you're coaching as if you're going to stay in that competition. How have you found this? How have you found the year?
It's always difficult coaching with COVID breaks and being in a regional centre. Obviously, we've got to recruit quite a lot of our players from outside of Mackay, whether they're from Townsville or from Rocky or from further afield of Adelaide or Tasmania, like we have players at the moment. It's always a challenge.
And how did you go about meeting that challenge? I mean, you only took on the job at the beginning of this season, right?
No, I took it on last year, but due to COVID, obviously we had an interrupted season. I think we played in the first 5 rounds, and after that we were playing in our local competition.
Right. And how was last season?
Oh, well, we won the local league with the players that we had. Obviously, a lot of them we lent out on loan. Latham Dunn went to Redlands and saved them. Our goalkeeper at the time went to Sydney FC and was on loan with them for a while. So we had players loaned out all over the space, and then we've got most of them back in this year. The start of the season, and then with some of the money thrown around by Melbourne, we've lost players in some of the transfer windows.
Right. So been a real challenge putting a side together this year.
Oh yeah, massively.
Yeah. Tell us about the travel. I'm sure it's as annoying and tiring as it must be. It must also be a great bonding experience for your side.
It's brilliant for recruiting as well. In terms of we're able to sell the idea of being as close to a sort of A-League side as you can possibly be, in terms of, every second week we jump on an aeroplane, we spend the night away, everything's paid for by the club. So for those things, it becomes a little bit of a sell for some players who have ambitions of trying to achieve that next level, to be able to then experience kind of firsthand what it would be like to be an A-League player, flying away every second weekend, having that trip, having that time, preparing, when we arrive, having all those preparations that you have to go through, on a match day, like an A-League player would. Yeah,
fantastic. That's a perspective I hadn't considered in the past. Do you catch a plane down every time, or is it a bus?
A long bus ride. No, we fly down every time. So we fly down pretty much about 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, depending with Saturday or Sunday game, and then with a red eye out on Sunday morning.
Right. Okay. And the players, do they have day jobs? I assume they would.
Yeah, all our players are semi-pro. I think we've got 2 lads who don't work up here at the moment. The rest have all got part-time jobs, or I think we've got 3 or 4 on full-time jobs. The rest are all part-time jobs. So.
All right. Now, you were supposed to take on Olympic on the weekend, I understand. What did you guys do instead?
A few weeks ago. Yeah, that was a while back. We were supposed to play Olympic and that got games suspended. We played Knights last weekend, and this weekend we're at home to Moreton Bay. Right.
Okay. Tell us about your game against Knights on the weekend.
So we played Knights. Yeah. As everyone knows, with Knights, they're a very, very good side. They even managed to rest Mardell for most of the game, and still had a very good team out on the bench, out on the field. So always difficult to play them. We had a couple of very young players playing as well. We tried to blood a few young guys on the weekend with a debut for a young local right back. With another 17 or just turned 18-year-old central midfielder playing for us as well. So guys did really well for their age and their experience level. We lost 5-1 in the end, but the guys did really well considering.
All right, and you're taking on Moreton Bay this weekend. Tell us how you're going to take on that challenge.
It's going to be a different one for us as well. It's on a Sunday. We don't. The whole time I've been in Mackay, I've never played on a Sunday, especially at 1 o'clock. So I think Moreton Bay are flying in and then flying out on the same day. So that would be interesting for them. So hopefully that plays slightly in our advantage. And then we just, I guess, it's how we condition the guys ready for that 1 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday, making sure that they're mentally prepared before the game. Trying to make sure that we still run our team meeting at a normal time that we'd normally run it before the game, making sure all the details are still right. Hopefully that we can get everything right in the process beforehand.
And how do you go promoting the club in a rugby league town?
Difficultly. Well, yeah, it's hard. It's hard anywhere you go, whether you're here or like I was before I came here in South Australia, and the A League's AFL is a predominant sport. There's always a challenge in Australia. There's always, whether it's rugby league or rugby union or AFL or cricket, there's always another distraction on the way.
I just going to say that I actually went up with Pride on an away weekend on the back in 2019, and I have to say, out of all that year with all the travelling around that we did to all the games, I have to say that the club up there actually had probably the better spectator numbers. To be honest, the town seems to really get behind them, but the Crusaders pretty well.
Yeah, we're lucky. We've obviously got 3 state league sides up here. There's the basketball side are well supported as well, and got the Cutters as well in the league, and then us. So they're quite spoilt with the amount of quality, sporting events they can see, and they come out and support in numbers. Obviously, even though we're not been doing particularly well this season in terms of the league, the fans haven't skipped a beat. They're there every session. They're loud, noisy, boisterous, cheering the boys on at every home game. So that's brilliant.
Good facilities there too. Good change rooms, and having the main clubhouse too just across the road. You can always get the more adventurous to come out from behind the bar, I suppose, and come down and watch us.
Yeah, no, we're blessed with what we've got. In terms of all the stuff they've added this year as well. So we've added ice baths. We've now got touch screens that we can use for our team meetings and things like that, and animate things on the touch screens like you see on Optus and on Foxtel. So we've got all those things going as well. So the stuff they keep adding each year is fantastic.
All right, let's have a look at this weekend's fixtures. And Calabar are hosting Gold Coast Knights. Peninsula Power up against Olympic. There's a game. East's up against Gold Coast United. Lions taking on Logan. We've mentioned the Crusaders up against Moreton Bay United. Brisbane Strikers taking on Brisbane Roar. Strikers got a point last night up against Knights. So
yes, and they had a comeback from behind win too, which was good.
Yeah, interesting turnaround there for the Strikers. And the Sunny Coast Wanderers up against Redlands United. Tom, out of those fixtures, it's got to be Peninsula Power up against Olympic as the game of the weekend, yeah?
Yeah, well, if it's anything to go by their the FFA Cup game they played recently, should be a great game.
What makes Peninsula Power so good?
I think they've got some outstanding players. They've got a great staff as well. Obviously, from the head coach to the assistant coach, they've got 2 guys there who are really well connected within the Queensland football scene and do a really good job. All
right, now I'm guessing that you focus more on your part of the table than you are at the top. This relegation battle, how do you see that panning
out? I think it's anyone's guess at the moment. Strikers, when they came up to us, really surprised us with how they came out and played against us. Obviously, the change of coach has been great for them. It's massively changed their fortunes. We didn't expect them to come out and do what they did. We watched every game that we could watch of them previously and saw how they played. But they've got some very exciting young players, and if other clubs high up the league aren't looking at some of those younger players that they've got for the future, I'll be very surprised.
All right, there we go. So you're currently on 6 points with just the 2 wins this season. How do you go about taking on the rest of the season? Is it you're setting a number of wins? Is it just improving your performance? Is it the process? How are you taking it on?
Process-wise, we've been massively focused on just trying to improve our performances the last couple of weeks. We did that against, like I said, we did that against Knights the other day. Against Strikers, we didn't think we performed very well. We thought we played into their hands in terms of as soon as they went down to 10 men, we almost became too desperate to score rather than just playing the opposition in front of us. We became very desperate to score and kept pushing higher and higher and higher, which obviously let them counter-attack the way they did and score the goals that they did against us. I think if we'd have played a little bit smarter and moved the ball side to side a lot more against the 5-man block that they put out, and they only had 3 men in midfield at that point because they were playing that shape, would have been able to run them right a little bit more. But we became a little bit too desperate to score. In hindsight, it's easy to say, but obviously when the game's going on, you're caught in the emotion of it, and the tactics become sometimes a little by the pass when players are trying to do their own thing out on the field, which is a bit sad, but it's what happens. For us, yeah, it's like I said, it's focusing on those performances. We're in a position now where we've got nothing to lose as well, really. We know we've got another bite at it with a license next year, regardless. So it's kind of, go out, keep trying, keep playing the young players that we've got, back them in, and then see what happens.
All right, sounds interesting. All right, let's move on now to the NPLW. And Gary, time to bring you in here. Mate, I think you've had one season out of the past 10 or so where things weren't quite on track, but you just seem to always be able to put out a competitive side, and you've done it again this season.
No, it really has been enjoyable this year, Darren. We didn't do so well last year, and we were just talking about COVID and how it can impact, and it impacted us because we had a couple of players, Harriet Withers, who now plays for Melbourne City. She was living in northern New South Wales, so she couldn't get to the games. So it was a massive big impact for us where we struggled without her. And she's a quality player. And then we had our US visa player, Corey Kane. She couldn't come over. They were both living at Murwillumbah. So, it was stop and start last year. It wasn't the best of seasons. But I was always confident this year because we got the team together, identified the players that we needed to be competitive again. And honestly, it's been so enjoyable. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Yes, you've got this amazing capacity to get players to play for you, Gary.
No, do you know what? I mean, it's so lovely because, obviously part of what I do, I spent 12 years coaching in the US. So I got to know the system and everything like that. And then when I left the US in 2010, I sort of obviously came back, started working here, but I had a lot of friends that were coaching at college, and I got so many calls, emails. Gary, have you got this player? Have you got a midfielder? Have you got a forward? And it started from there, really. So I was sort of helping players get scholarships to go and play over there. And the lovely thing is now, they've done their 4 years. They're back now. They've come and joined South with me again. So I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them as little girls, and now they come back as women. They've got their degree behind them, still love their football, and doing fantastic. Yeah, so it's really special.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right, now you had a big 4-3 win over a fantastic Moreton Bay United team this season. Tell us about the game.
Yeah, I felt a little bit for Moreton Bay. They've had so many injuries. In all honesty, a lot of big injuries that they've had with some of their players. But same thing again. In fact, it's really funny because I said to the girls after the game, it was an 8:15 kickoff on a Tuesday night. It was freezing cold. I was driving over there after coaching the under-16 girls. And I just remember sitting in the car and just thinking to myself, do you know what? I hope I'm driving back at midnight because I've got to get back to the Gold Coast. And I thought, if we get 3 points, I'll just be happy with 3 points. And to be honest, it was like that. I mean, our defence has been so good this season. We haven't conceded. I think we've got the second best record behind Lions for conceding goals. That was the first time we conceded 3. But in all honesty, it's not an easy place to go to. So I was just happy to come away with the 3 points. But it was a good game. It's an entertaining game.
It had massive implications on this top 7 ladder at the moment. You're still in second place, just 1 point over Capalaba. Now that's got to be a feather in your cap itself, Gary. The fact that you're ahead of such a stacked team as Capalaba.
Yeah, I think no, absolutely. I mean, they've got some very, very good players with a lot of W League experience as well. I think that the quality of players that we've got, and it's the same for all the coaches, the ones listening in now, we've all got players that if they're just given that opportunity, they would do well in the A League, whether it's the W League. but the thing is, if they're given that opportunity now, obviously we had Harriet with us. I've always known Harriet's good enough to play at the highest level. She went to the US. They retired her jersey. She was a leading goal scorer at college there. She's come back. She's played for Souths, and then Melbourne City were looking for a forward. Rado's the coach over there, Rado Vidicic, I think it is. Yeah. Word got out. Actually, wasn't through me, but word got out about Harriet, and she scored the winner against Melbourne Victory. She got injured, but I'm pretty sure they're offering her another contract. Obviously, she lives in Melbourne now. But, you know, the thing is, she was given an opportunity. And like I say, the other coaches, I'm sure, listening in, they've got players that if they was just given that opportunity, some of them would take it. Now, even at South now, I've got 3 or 4 players that if they are given that opportunity, I'm going to try and help them, that they would definitely be good enough for that standard in the W League. And the thing is, right, Darren, you know, because we're always the NPLW is stacked now with girls now. They've got W League experience, and you're looking at some of our players and you're going, actually, she's given a chance. There's no doubt she would do well. So, yeah.
All right, now we're at this interesting stage of the competition now where we come to that split. So you've played 16 games.
Yeah.
So you've played every team once now.
Yeah.
We're just waiting on catch-up games to determine who's in the top 7 and the bottom 8. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it now. Obviously, there's a top 7, and QAS, I think they'll end up about 10th, but they get into the top 8.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think there's just a couple more games to go. I think there's 3 teams. I think it's something like Olympic, Western Pride, and Sunshine Coast. I actually personally think it'll be Sunshine Coast, and that will make up the 8 teams. And I'm pretty sure once they got the 8 teams together, they'll do the draw, and then we all know what we're doing. Yeah.
I've just been keeping an eye on a few things, and I see that City defeated Olympic. I'm not sure of the final score. Last thing I saw was 2-1. So
Okay.
yeah, so that one's done, and that actually, I think that puts Western Pride at the top of for the promotion when it splits. I think it puts them top of. I think it puts them top of that group.
Oh, good for them.
In promotion spot, yeah.
Yeah, good for them. Good.
So are we in a situation now where you're just waiting for you have to wait for those other fixtures to conclude now?
Yeah, I think once they've got the 8 teams that they know for definite, like I say, I think there's just 2 more games to go, then they can make the draw. I don't think they can make a draw when they don't know yet who the 8th team is, you know, so I don't even know when the last game is going to be. I think Sunshine Coast are playing someone, and if they get the points, I don't know, but I know Western Pride won last night. So, yeah, once they get that 8th team, I think the draw. And to be fair, I think all the players want to know as soon as possible, because they've all got jobs. They've all got, you know, with our lot, they go on holiday all the time. So they need to know what's going on.
So what are you going to do this weekend? Are you going to organise a trial game, or just let the girls have the weekend off?
Well, we've got the Kappa Cup on Friday night. So we're actually playing, we're playing Logan on Friday night. So, but then the following week is a bye, and I'm not bothered about the girls. I'm taking a week off. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking after my mum at the moment, Darren, so I've got to make sure she's all right. No.
As you should.
But you know what? And even all the coaches, even listening in it, we need a break as well. It really is constant, you know. It's and I know how much they all put into their job and how passionate we all are. And if we get the chance to have a break, it's a nice thing. Yeah.
All right. So let's give you a break now as we move on to the FQPL, and we bring in Brian Hastings. Brian, been an interrupted season for you guys at the Western Pride.
Interrupted in what way do you think?
Oh, just with the start of the season, with you not being able to get your fixtures in early.
Yeah, we had a bit of a bye the first round. A lot of rain came along, and we were left left out there. I think round 4 we hadn't played a game, so it was just one of those things you have to deal with and keep working with the lads that you've got, and see how we go from there.
But you seem to be purring along very nicely at the moment with the 4-0 victory over Wolves on the weekend.
Yes, it's starting to look quite good now. We sort of on the improve. We built a new team this year. Last year we had a very young team, and we used that policy, and we went out there and this year I've spent a little bit more time recruiting more seasoned players, just in key areas, and it's paid off. We basically, we had a decent preseason as well. So we had good numbers. We had a very good number of trialists that came. So somehow the word got out that we had a plan to try and work hard to try get in the top 4, possibly try win it. But obviously Brisbane City's run away with it, so it's going to be a bit hard. We're all fighting for the next spot, I guess. There's 3 of us there that are pushing quite hard at the moment.
It certainly is. So Rochedale had a 2-0 victory over Mitchelton. Brisbane City 4-2 over South United. Sunny Coast Wanderers and Southside Eagles a 0-0 draw. Haven't seen many 0-0 draws this season. Let's have a quick look at that ladder and those top 4 places. So Brisbane City on top by 5 points with 2 games in hand over Rochedale. South West Queensland Thunder also 2 games in hand on 27, and you're in 4th now on 22 points, also with 2 games in hand.
Yeah. It's interesting at the moment. Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a buffer between us and the 5th spot, but you can't let your guard down. We just keep working on day to day and keep working on what we're trying to do. We've got our process there that we're trying to achieve, and if everything goes our way, I'm a total optimist about when I'm a coach, and I look at the points, and all I have to do is beat Thunder and beat Rochedale, and I'll be pretty close to them. So that's all I think about.
So yes, the real interest in this competition is the relegation places, and 5th down to 11th is just 8 points.
Yeah.
Any teams can just get on a run and all of a sudden they're safe, can't they?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, like teams like Holland Park, they did so well. I think it was Tuesday night. They were doing well, got a man sent off, had a tough result in the 91st minute, I think, against Mitchelton. That was a tough result for them. So, and they've been looking really positive about what they can achieve. And I've spoken to their under-23 coach who's close to the group, and they've made some changes. They've moved players into different positions, and they're working really, really well. So, on their day, any team there can beat any team besides City at the moment. I think we lost to Souths, and Souths, they came out on the night and they were sensational against us. So we were shocked, and to us it was a waste of 3 points. But to look at what you've got there, there's teams lower down that are doing quite well. I mean, Ipswich Knights on their day can probably beat most teams in the league. So.
And this weekend you're travelling to Terralba to take on Mitchelton.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Yeah, on Sunday evening. Sunday evenings are terrible. We just find that it's the end of the weekend, and to get your players up for it, anything can happen. So it's a bit scary when you play on Sunday evenings. So yeah, we're looking forward to it, but yeah, I have my doubts, and I just have to make sure that I've got everybody in first gear when they get there.
All right, I'll quickly run through the other fixtures and then I'll set Lliam upon you. We've got Wolves up against Sunny Coast, Ipswich Knights taking on Brisbane City, South West Queensland Thunder up against Rochedale. Now there's a game.
Yeah.
South United up against Holland Park Hawks, and as mentioned, Mitchelton taking on Pride. Southside Eagles have the bye. Go on, Lliam.
I didn't know what to say, but then something did come into my mind. With the loss of Jake, and with the keeper situation, how hard is it for clubs at the moment, you think, to try and find keepers that want to play at our level?
We had this year. It's been catastrophic what we've had with our goalkeepers. We had an under-16 goalkeeper that got stress fractures in the back. Josh Boyle, under 18 goalkeeper. Ashton Bonsell that plays under 18s. Jake Reesby was virtually out for the season against Toowoomba, and our under-23 goalkeeper had the same thing, had bone bruising on his hip. So we had a under-15 player, goalkeeper, outfield player playing under-16 in goals. And that young lad in under 18s is playing 3 games in a weekend. He's playing under 18s, under 23s, and first team.
Yeah.
And this is where Football Queensland were pretty hard to deal with. We asked them if we could try to recruit another keeper after the closing date, and the hoops that we had to jump through was just insane.
Yeah.
So we had to find doctors' certificates from them, given reasons how long they'll be out for, to find another goalkeeper. But in that time, Josh Boyle came back in, and he's taken over the mantle from Jack Reesby for us. He's only 17 years old, but thank God he's 6'5" and he's a good, strong lad. He's doing fantastically well. The young lad that's been playing 3 games is playing 2 games every weekend. He's playing under 18s and 23s still.
Yeah,
So, and we've got, and I think we're rotating outfield player in the under 16s to fill our goalkeeper spot. So goalkeepers has been an issue this year for us.
What about the transfer window? Do you think there should be an opportunity for that to be more in the second half, because it seems to come at an odd time in our season?
Yeah, well, it used to be June 30th, didn't it? Now it's May the 10th for us. So it's very early in the season, and some of the rules that they make don't really make sense. It's not good for football. I believe that the visa player rule should be changed. There should be a couple more visa players allowed to play. We want to see the best players playing the best football. We have some players. I've got a player that hasn't played for 6 years, and was with the Raw Youth, and he's been injured for 6 years with problems that he's had, and he wants to make a comeback as a player. He's only 29 years old, and he can't register as a nothing player coming from nowhere. So they call it a transfer window, but if you're not transferring, if you're new to the league, we should be able to possibly sign players like it. So he comes back and he goes, "Oh, I can't sign up." He waits out the season and he doesn't come back the next season.
Yeah.
So I think we do have that issue in Queensland there, and I think this goes back to what Football Brisbane and Football Queensland have been doing. They've been on the same floor in the same building, and they don't talk to each other for how many years now? It's been ridiculous when they were at ANZ Stadium. So we just have to find ways that we can get the best players on the pitch as much as we can.
I was just going to say, because you can get injuries like in May, or you can get or you find areas where you do need somebody, and then you get no opportunity to do it until the end of the season, unless someone unless you're absolutely desperate like you were with Jake. I think the other coaches on the panel may agree or may not agree, but I mean, I've been around the game for so many years, and at the end of the day, if I have a good player and he wants to move on to bigger and better things, I shake his hand and say, "Good luck, go with what you can do." And that's our job. Our job is to develop players, leave a legacy of development in your wake, and say that I've helped make that player get to wherever he is. Yeah. If I've had half a season with James Donachie, and I'm happy that he's playing in the A-League, that's what you strive for as a coach. So there should be some sort of way that we can let these players go on if they're good enough to go on. And my next job is to find somebody to replace him and slowly bring another player through. I mean, otherwise it just becomes a closed shop in each club and each league, that a player can't go to the next level. So it hinders people, and we're just talking before about, we all have these players that we feel that could go on to the next level. But personally, I think the problem we have in Australia is that in Queensland is we've got one A-League, one team that we're trying to push everybody into. So I think we had 48,000 players or whatever the number is, I don't know the number, but everybody's striving to make one team, one professional team. In England, in a country that's probably fits into Queensland a number of times, you've got 144 professional teams that you can push players into. So whether we try and improve the leagues and make the NPL a full-time professional league, and we all know the problems that come with that, sponsorships, money, how to do that. But it would be sensational if you could have the NPL that every one of them plays football for a living, and try and create another second-tier league that we can actually say, okay, we've got kids that can strive. Because so often you talk to coaches and you get these young kids talking about
the dream of making as a pro, and then you get the knockers as go. You got 1% chance of making it, if that. We shouldn't have that as an answer. We should have something that we can push these kids into, that can go to that next level. Unfortunately, a lot of them have to go overseas to do that now. And then we have these rules that you can't go overseas unless you've got an EU passport, or you haven't, or your family can get an ancestry visa and you go relocate to England so your kid can play football. Some of the rules that are in place by the FFA and FQ, whoever's running the governing body, is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You have kids, and Greg was saying, I'm similar, where I've been sending players to America to go into to get scholarships to America to play football over there, and hopefully get into the MLS draft or play in that system over there, because it's not a FIFA system, so it's an American college system. So that's the only way these kids can experience living as pros, playing as pros. I've done it with my own sons to there, then let them go to Spain and do that in Spain. So if we could just find a way that we could actually allow these kids to progress, but then you get a stupid rule that says, hang on, you got transfer window that ends on the 10th of May. So if you've got 6 injuries, too bad, too sad, suffer till the end of the year. It doesn't make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense, because I'm about developing players. I just want them to keep moving on and moving on and moving on. Shake my hand and say, good luck, son. Yeah.
And I think we've got 2 other coaches with you, Brian, who certainly are exponents of that philosophy.
I hope so.
I can see both sides of the coin with it, though. I think in terms of what they're trying to do in terms of the professional window, which is what they're calling it, because obviously now, especially in the MPO, you've got players registered as professional contracts, is why they're trying to introduce this fixed mandate window. I agree with Brian that there needs to be a bit more flexibility to that. Like, we've lost 3-4 players recently with injury and various other things, mental health and other things. We're not able to bring anybody in. A reasonable league up here in Mackay that we can't recruit players out of at the moment to come in and step up to that next level. We're not able to recruit any because of that transfer window. I see why they've done the transfer window, to try and generate the transfer market to make football sustainable within Australia, i.e. A-League clubs buying players from the MPL. But it kind of hamstrings it at the same time. I can see what they're trying to do, but I can also see, like Brian just said, then the negative connotations of it. I can see the positive side. I can also see the negative sides, as we're currently being hamstrung ourselves by it.
All right. Let's have a quick look at the FQPL2 before we wrap things up. And Caboolture, North Star and Taringa all had wins on the weekend. This weekend, just the one fixture, Virginia United hosting Grange Thistle. Looking at the ladder, we can see Caboolture are on top by 5 points over Taringa, Grange Thistle in 3rd, and North Star rounding out the top 4. That's the show, guys. Lliam, this has got to be one of the most in-depth shows that we've ever done, don't you think?
Yeah, I know it's been good, but you do like to mix it up. You like to hear the opinions of those who are actually involved heavily in the game, like us, kind of on the side punters, I guess. So, no, thank you very much for being honest with everything tonight, boys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's been
Pleasure.
It's been great to have you.
Well done on your debut there, Brian. You done all right, mate. Waiting patiently there.
They all understood me with my accent.
Yeah, perfectly.
Just one question before we go, Tom.
Yes.
Has there been any talk of the Crusaders setting up a centre of excellence or something like that in Mackay, so that any kids from, say, up in Townsville and Cairns, or even Rockhampton, Wide Bay, who've got a bit of talent, can go to the Crusaders, get some specialised coaching, and really lift their game?
Well, we basically have that currently. So our juniors all play up an age group in our local competitions. They all play in the state carnival. So our teams were down there last week for the SAP carnival, and the week before they were down there for the youth carnival, representing Mackay, but representing us doing it. So we have that already. We've got guys from Bowen who are 2 and a bit hours north of here. We've got guys from Rocky in the seniors and under 23s. We've got lads from Townsville. So we've already kind of got that happening. We'd like to see it happen more, obviously. If we can see what's happening long term, that's up to the chairman to work out with Football Queensland what's happening for us long term. But if we can see that developing long term, then we'd love to be able to do in terms of develop that further. We've spoken to one of the local schools up here about potentially getting scholarship as well. So to try and develop that even further. So it's things that we've had discussions and conversations about with myself and the technical director and our chairman as well.
Fantastic. How's the recruitment for that currently? Is it families making the commitment to move down, or do you have scouts that go out and about to find those players?
No, well, luckily through the technical director, he's obviously gets about quite a bit through the youth program. So he's out in Rocky watching Rocky's kids that are all same age as ours, 15, 16 playing, and then he's able to keep tabs on those for that medium to long-term future of what they're doing. We've got good relationships with the guys up in Townsville as well, so we were able to ring them and find out who their best of their best players were up there. Like I said, we had 2 at the start of the year. One moved on to Melbourne mid-season. So we're trying our best to recruit as best as we can within the region. For pre-season, we had 2 lads come down from Darwin to trial.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And how did they go?
They were good. Not quite what we're looking for, but they were both lovely lads. Both did really well.
You're not quite what we're looking for. I love that phrase.
Love in one hand, crock in the other.
Not quite like that.
I am conscious of the time too, Darren, but I probably should have asked the question earlier, Brian. How is the association with Everton going for the club? What input have they had, and how have they helped some of the younger coaches? And is anything there that you can talk about there?
Yeah, they've been really, really interesting. They have a weekly meeting with the young coaches. They go in and have a video conference with them. So, and it's basically coach education. So it's just putting their knowledge back into us. I think it's first year, and it's something that's just as time goes by, you'll start to see a bit more benefit coming from it.
Yeah,
it's definitely improving our coaches, helping our coaches with not just training drills and stuff like that. It's a lot of it is philosophy based. So
yeah,
it gives them some sort of idea of how to set themselves up. I think a lot of our young coaches these days are very much textbook. So they get all the drills off the internet and they do this stuff, but they don't really relate that to the game as much as they should.
Yeah,
I think those coaches from Everton that speak to them, through Zoom are definitely helping them in that regard. No, it's been a fantastic partnership that we've got with them, and hopefully when COVID goes away, we can start looking about maybe getting them out here to come do some sessions and invite other clubs to come and see it as well. Because at the end of the day, we want everybody to get better. So it's and possibly take a few kids over there as well.
So just fleshing that out for the viewers, the Western Pride have a sister relationship with Everton. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that started at the beginning of this season.
Yeah, I think it was started coming in last year, but with COVID, everything when we had the big break, the season was so disrupted. It was, and Pat Boyle's been doing a fantastic job, working behind the scenes and getting these things organised. He's a fantastic man, and he's organised it all. So it's been great. We've even adopted an Everton-looking away kit now that we the first team play in. So we have a good laugh about that. We had to choose an away kit, and I said, well, let's just go with Everton blue. Yes, so we're playing with that. So it's a bit of fun. Yeah, keeps a smile on everybody's face. Yeah.
Gary, Souths have had relationships with overseas clubs in the past, haven't they?
I think they have. Before, it was actually before my time. I heard it was Sporting Lisbon. They play in the same colours. Yeah, they play in the same colours. I saw some pictures up on the wall once and everything like that. So I honestly don't know what happened, with that. But yes, I think they did. Yeah.
Okay, but nothing currently.
Nothing currently, no. No. I'll use my contacts to see what I can come up with.
What about you guys, Tom?
Not my knowledge, we've got a very good working relationship with Brisbane Raw. Just before this COVID break, we're supposed to have a few of our lads go down and train with their under 23s, but due to obviously that recent COVID hiatus, they were there but couldn't train, so they flew down and got stuck in hotel quarantine in Brisbane whilst waiting to go and train. When Brisbane came up, and for us for pre-season, we had a couple of lads trial with them then, go and do sessions with them and play. One guy played against us in our pre-season friendly, he was our player. We've got good relationships with a couple of the Ray League clubs as well that we've sent players to recently.
Very interesting. All right, we might wrap up the show there. To our coaches who have joined us this evening, fantastic discussion, guys. It's been great to have you on board. Lliam, as per usual, great to have you with us.
Thank you.
All right, this has been the Village Law SEQFC preview show for the Football Queensland edition. Hopefully things will settle down and we can talk more about the proper football next week. Until then, enjoy your football.
Cheers, Darren. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.